Colombia versus Portugal, 0-0. 90 minutes of football that somehow produced 37 shots, a disallowed goal in the 91st minute, and a performance from a 34-year-old that made the entire footballing world stop and stare. And here is the thing that nobody is saying out loud right now. Cristiano Ronaldo, a man who has scored at 6 different World Cups, a man who came into this match off the back of a 2-goal showing against Uzbekistan, a man who statistically had a higher non-penalty expected goals figure than almost every other player at this tournament after the first 2 match days, had just 35 touches in 90 minutes and managed only 3 shots. Against Colombia, not France, not Argentina, Colombia. So before we talk about what Colombia did, let us first ask the uncomfortable question that every Ronaldo fan is going to hate. Was tonight the moment we finally saw the beginning of the end?
Let us set the scene properly, because the context here matters more than people are giving it credit for. Colombia walked into Hard Rock Stadium in Miami as Group K leaders with 6 points, 2 wins from 2, 9 goals scored in qualifying, and a squad that finished second only to Argentina in CONMEBOL qualifying with 28 goals. They did not need to win tonight. A draw was enough to confirm first place in the group. Portugal, on the other hand, absolutely had to win. Roberto Martinez sent out his strongest possible 11, Ronaldo up front, Bruno Fernandes pulling strings behind him, Pedro Neto and João Felix out wide, Cancelo and Nuno Mendes bombing forward from fullback positions. Full firepower, no rotation, no caution. Portugal came to Miami to win a football match, and they brought everything they had. Nestor Lorenzo made one decision before kickoff that told you exactly what kind of manager he is and exactly what kind of team Colombia have become. Daniel Munoz, their top scorer at this tournament with 2 goals in 2 games, was dropped to the bench. Not injured, not suspended, rested and protected. Lorenzo looked at Portugal's attack and decided his team did not need their most clinical goal scorer to win this match. He trusted his system over his star power, and that is a level of managerial confidence that you simply do not see often enough at this stage of a World Cup. The decision said everything. Colombia did not come to Miami to score goals. They came to suffocate Portugal. And suffocate them they did. James Rodriguez was the most important player on the pitch tonight, and it was not even close. Think about what this man has been through. Written off after his move to MLS, called a fading star, told his best days were behind him. Tonight, at 34 years old, he completed 43 passes in the final third, a number that only Carlos Valderrama against the United States in 1994 has ever beaten for a Colombian player in World Cup history. He created 5 chances in this match alone. He became the first Colombian player ever to reach 11 appearances at the FIFA World Cup, going past Freddy Rincon and Valderrama himself. And in the first half, he had a low-driven shot that had Diogo Costa scrambling across his goal, the kind of strike that, on another night, in another stadium, goes in the bottom corner and breaks the internet. That was James Rodriguez tonight, not a passenger, not a nostalgia act, the best player on the pitch at a World Cup match. At 34 years old, Luis Diaz was something else entirely down that left flank. Playing his club football now at Bayern Munich, one of the 3 biggest clubs in the world, Diaz has evolved into a player who is almost impossible to contain at full speed because he gives you absolutely nothing to read before he commits to his direction. Tonight he ran at Cancelo again and again and again, and every single time Cancelo had to decide whether to step in or drop off, Diaz was already past him or pulling back to try again. He did not score. He did not get an assist, but Luis Diaz tonight was a wrecking ball against Portugal's entire right side, and the space he created by pulling Cancelo inward repeatedly is the exact reason James Rodriguez had so much room to operate centrally. These 2 players were not just performing individually tonight, they were working in perfect concert. The midfield battle was where this game was actually decided, though, and Jefferson Lerma and Gustavo Puerta need to be talked about far more than they currently are.
Every time Bruno Fernandes tried to find space, tried to play that line-breaking pass, tried to get Portugal into their rhythm, one of those two was there. Lerma winning the physical duels, Puerta reading the game brilliantly and intercepting before danger could develop. Before today, Portugal had gone 12 consecutive matches in all competitions with at least 60% possession. Colombia held them to 45%, their lowest possession figure since the UEFA Nations League final against Spain just over a year ago. That is not a coincidence. That is a defensive and midfield structure that was designed specifically to suffocate how Portugal want to play, and it worked with absolute perfection.
And then there is Ronaldo, 25 World Cup appearances now, making him joint second all-time alongside Lothar Matthäus, behind only Lionel Messi. A man who has scored in 6 different World Cup tournaments, a man who entered this match having been called offside 11 times across his last 2 World Cups, more than any other player by 4 clear instances. Tonight he had a moment in the first half where he burst in behind the Colombia defense, received the ball in space, and the flag went up. Offside again. And then his overhead kick on the rebound from Fernandez's effort was blocked at close range. That was Portugal's best chance of the entire evening, an overhead kick that was blocked. Ronaldo finished with 3 shots and 35 touches in 90 minutes of a must-win World Cup group stage match. Wayne Rooney said it live on air tonight. Ronaldo looked disconnected from the team for long periods. And Rooney played with and against some of the greatest players of this generation. When he says Ronaldo looked disconnected, that is not a hot take. That is an observation from someone who knows exactly what a connected, dominant Ronaldo looks like. Here is what this result means for Portugal, and it is not comfortable reading if you support them. They finish second in Group K with 5 points. They advance to the round of 32, which is the minimum they needed. But their next opponent is Croatia, a team that is organized, physical, and will make this exactly as difficult as Portugal do not want it to be. And if Portugal survive that, the potential round of 16 opponent is Spain, the same Spain that looked terrifying in the group stage. Roberto Martinez now has 4 days to figure out why his team, who put 5 goals past Uzbekistan a week ago, could not break down Colombia's defensive block tonight. Why Fernandes, who was playing line-breaking passes better than almost anyone at this tournament through the first 2 games, suddenly looked ordinary. Why João Felix, who is capable of moments of absolute genius, could not find half a yard against Davinson Sanchez and John Lukumi all evening. These are solvable problems. Portugal have the squad to fix them. But the clock is ticking, and the opponents are only going to get harder from this point forward. Now let us talk about Colombia, because honestly, this is the conversation that should be dominating every football program on earth right now. 3 games at this World Cup, 9 points, not a single defeat, and a defensive record that is becoming genuinely historic. Camilo Vargas made a crucial save to deny Bruno Fernandes in the second half. Davinson Sanchez and John Lukumi were absolutely immovable at center-back all evening. And in the 91st minute, Sanchez actually headed the ball into the net from a Juan Fernando Quintero cross, wheeled away in celebration, and had the goal ruled out for the tightest of offside calls. Colombia almost won this match. Against Portugal, while resting their top scorer. Let that sink in for a moment. They had 24 shots in this game, the most Colombia have ever had in a FIFA World Cup match in recorded history, surpassing their 23 against the United States in 1994. And they created the highest combined expected goals figure of any goalless first half at the entire 2026 World Cup. Colombia now travel to Kansas City on July 3rd for their round of 32 match against Ghana as group winners. And here is why that matters beyond just this fixture. As group winners, Colombia avoided the harder side of the bracket. They have the easier path through to the quarterfinals, and if they keep performing at this level, the conversation around them being genuine contenders for this entire World Cup needs to start happening right now. The goal scoring has been shared throughout the squad. Munoz with 2 from right back, Diaz contributing from the wing, James creating everything. The defensive unit is as well organized as any team at this tournament.
And the manager is making bold, correct decisions under pressure without flinching. That is the combination that wins World Cups, not just individual talent, not just one superstar, a system, a belief, and a group of players who trust each other completely.
Is Colombia going to win the 2026 World Cup? I am not here to make promises. Argentina are still in this. France have not played their best football yet. Germany are dangerous. But Colombia have done something in this group stage that very few teams manage to do at major tournaments. They have won every game without ever truly being threatened. They have controlled matches without dominating the ball. They have beaten opponents not just physically but tactically, mentally, and emotionally. And they did it tonight against Ronaldo, against Bruno Fernandes, against one of the most decorated squads at this entire tournament. If you are still sleeping on this Colombian team, tonight was your final warning. Because after what happened at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami on this June evening, the rest of the world is now very much awake.